Hey, it's Mike with TechPB. We're going to talk today about the MacDev Cyborg RX. Now, I picked this gun up, when did I pick it? I think it was a PSP Phoenix was when I picked this gun up. Put about 7 or 8 cases through it, been passing it around, and we finally have come up with a really good opinion of it, so hopefully we can give you a good review here. Now, MacDev, for people that are brand new to paintball, MacDev has been with paintball for a really, really long time. They've always been known making great regulators. Their older Cyborg is still one of the cult favorite paintball guns that are out there. It's a great poppet valve. The Cyborg RX is the next generation of the Cyborg. I think even Cockerpunk has a Cyborg. So, and Cockerpunk, if he doesn't like his guns, he won't hang on to them. But let's talk about the Cyborg RX. We talked about it. You guys saw the video at World Cup of last year. They debuted the Cyborg RX. They were impossible to get for a couple months. They're now starting to get out into the market. So let's take it out of the box. And I apologize for this box being really chewed up because I had it shoved in the luggage with everything else. And let's take it out and let's talk about it. Now, I actually had a custom lasering job done on this. The MacDev is made, or they're based out of Australia. So this gun, I wanted to get some sort of Australian theme, so I went with Foster's, which isn't necessarily my favorite kind of beer. It's pretty good beer, but I went with the Foster's logo on this Cyborg. Ended up coming out really cool. So if you guys want, lasering, call Cone Sports. They've got great designs, horrible service. I'm just kidding. So let's go ahead and put the barrel on this gun. Now, inside of this gun comes with a great manual, full color manual. It also comes with a really nice set of ball socket Allen keys, barrel sock, some stickers, which is really cool. And there's also there's supposed to be a little tube of lube in here, but I think somebody grabbed it. Just a little tube of kind of looked like a lurker lube type, but first impressions of the gun out of the box, you're going to notice that this gun deviates slightly away from where a lot of the paintball guns are going. A lot of the paintball guns are really starting to get the trigger frames and the regulators really close together, and it's like your hands are right on top of each other. Like the Mini, you hold it like this. So this gun goes the other way. For me personally, as a taller player, I found this gun very comfortable to shoot. The regulator is stretched forward, a little bit more than some of the other guns that are on the market. It's just the easiest way to describe it is it's just more of a stretched out gun. So I think players a little bit maybe like 5'6", 5'7" and taller are going to find this gun very comfortable when you're out there playing. So as you can see, there's a nice amount of room holding it. It's also a very thin gun when you're holding it. But let's talk about some things that I didn't quite like about the MacDev. Now, this is really nitpicking, but also keep in mind that they're charging over $1,200 for this paintball gun. So, when this is basically one of the Ferraris or the Lamborghinis of paintball. Okay, when you're buying a Lamborghini, you're going to nitpick on it. Okay, well, when you're buying a Cyborg RX, it's okay to nitpick on it. One of the things that I just could not really get into is the way how the trigger feels. The trigger is a single bearing trigger, as opposed to some of the other guns in the $1,250 range, like the the Die, the DM9, the Ego. It's got a really nice trigger. I think they really dropped the ball when it comes to the trigger. They should have maybe made it a little bit more radiused. It's kind of more of like a 45-degree cuts on it. I'm not digging this little plastic set screw in the back of it. The single bearing kind of turned me off also. Now, they do make a really good trigger for this gun. I've been hearing everybody go nuts about it, especially at MAO. Walter from Violent Products makes one of the Delrin triggers for this. I heard it's absolutely phenomenal. I didn't have a chance to test it out, but in my opinion, knowing how Walter builds his triggers, I think they should just pull this trigger out of here altogether and just put his in there. That was definitely one of the first things that kind of turned me off about the gun. Another thing, and this was just something that I noticed, is there's a gap here. When you set your loader on top, I'll take like a piece of paper here, there's a gap here in the back where you can see where your loader stops and the paintballs feed in. It's probably about 1/8 of an inch. And the only thing that concerns me about this gap is that if you're in the snake and you're crawling along, it's going to be really easy for dirt to get into the feed neck and down the breech. And I really found that kind of concerning, considering this gun has the sealed bolt assembly, which is really slick, but then at the same time, so now that protects your internals. Now at the same time, they've got that massive gap there that allows paint just to go straight, or dirt and debris to go right down into your breech and mess up your breech, your eyes, your detents, and possibly scratch up your barrel. So that was something else that kind of got on my nerves. Another thing that I kind of found, it took me a little while to understand what the hell was going on with it, is the low pressure regulator and the high pressure regulator, you turn them at opposite directions for them to work. This regulator works just like an intimidator. If you screw it in, you will increase the pressure on the low pressure regulator. It's the exact opposite with the high pressure regulator. The high pressure regulator, you have to back it out, just like you do with the CP reg, just like you do with the die reg. You back it out to increase the pressure. It can be confusing. It definitely got me, because I was like, what am I doing wrong with this gun? And went back and realized that with the low pressure regulator, you turn it in to increase pressure. Your high pressure regulator, you back it out to increase pressure. So just something that I was messing with that kind of threw me for a loop. Those are just a couple of the little things that I wanted to shoot out there to nitpick. Okay, it's a $1,200 gun. It's okay to nitpick. But let's also talk about some of the things that I did like. Something that I really liked about the ASA is it has a screw here, right here in the back of the grip frame, that you can adjust your ASA back and forth, okay? A lot of the guns, you have to open up the grip frame, pull the battery out, take the Allen key, and just kind of inch it along to back it out. It actually has the screw right here in the very back of the grip frame. You can go right through the top and you can adjust it. Kind of like dies where you're going through the side, here you're going through the top. Right on the back of the grip frame, you can adjust your ASA. I actually took the ASA and I slid it back just a little bit. For me, it was a little bit more comfortable. The board, and this is another hot topic, the board that's in here, the stock board, which is the Militia Soft, a lot of people don't know this, the programming was actually done by Will at Tidal Technologies. I'm not sure what the program, or what the deal is with the board, but you can actually take your board, send it into Tidal Technologies. I don't know what the charge is because they're still working on this, but he can actually flash your board and wipe it out and reinstall the Yakuza software on here, and you basically now have a USB Yakuza board where you can change the boot up screen, everything. Go watch the Vice Yakuza video where you can change the boot up screen, you can do everything. But that is the board that's in here. Kind of, you almost want to call it's a Militia Soft out of the box, but it actually is a Tidal Yakuza board. The stock software works really, really well. One of my favorite things to do with stock boards is I take it out and try to program without even looking at the manual. If you can do that, then obviously the software programming on the board is good software and anybody should be able to figure it out. This software, the Militia Soft software, is very easy. Hold the trigger when you turn it on, cycle through the modes, select whatever you want. It's a great OLED board. It's a really good board. Let's talk about, overall, my opinion of the gun. I mean, the gun shoots good. It's a great shooting gun. But I do think, personally, I think it's a little overpriced at $1,250 just because, obviously of the trigger. In my opinion, I think if it either came with two of the three things, if it came with either the upgraded trigger, the upgraded software, or the MacDev barrel kit that they were giving out at World Cup, pick any of the two out of the three, I think this is going to be worth the price of $1,250. But, with that said, let's go ahead and take the gun apart. We're going to take apart the high pressure reg, low pressure reg, bolt, and the ram sleeve, which is really cool. And then we're going to take it out and do an efficiency test. So let's start taking apart this gun. First thing we're going to take a look at is the bolt assembly. Now the bolt assembly is very reminiscent of the Smart Parts Nerve. You twist it, you pop it right out. You guys remember seeing this at the World Cup video. Very nice bolt assembly. It's completely sealed and really easy to take out if you have any issues. So it just snaps right into place. So you twist it, slide it out. Really cool. Now what we're going to do is we're going to leave this out. And I'm going to show you how easy it is to take the ram out. Beautiful part about taking this ram out is that everything comes out in one sleeve. Everything, the poppet spring, it all comes out in one sleeve. So you just basically slide it and the whole thing comes out. And you'll notice that that does have an indexing pin here, so you can, when you screw it back into the gun, it does line up properly. So there's your poppet. Not much there. Now what you do is you unscrew the two halves. Excuse me, there's a little bit of lubricant on here. So you unscrew the two halves. Now you can pull out your ram. And that's about it in terms of the serviceable parts that's on the ram. It's all here. Very easy to take apart. I mean, you just basically took apart the entire ram, everything all in one shot. So now what we'll do is we'll screw the two halves back together again. We'll go ahead and drop the poppet back in through the top. And we'll go ahead and set that aside. Now what we'll do is let's go ahead and remove the barrel. Now the stock barrel that comes on the gun is 689. I believe they call it a 689 matchstick two-piece barrel. It's a nice barrel. Now what we'll do is let's go ahead and unscrew the LPR cap. Okay. And out comes the piston. And that pretty much is all the serviceable parts on the low pressure regulator. So you have your adjustment nut in here, you've got your little Schrader valve inside of the gun, and you have your piston and your spring. Very easy gun to take apart. Take your favorite lubricant, put it on the put it on the piston O-rings, and you're all set. So go ahead and screw that on. Now the high pressure regulator is going to take a little bit more maintenance than the low pressure regulator. So let's go ahead and unscrew the high pressure regulator. Set it aside. Now the first thing we'll do is unscrew the bottom cap. That's going to be very reminiscent of kind of like the die. Everybody's going to these swivel bottom regulators. This one's definitely no exception. So you take the swivel bottom there. Now this right here is a filter. It's up to you whether or not you want to keep this in the gun or not. For me, I'm just going to go ahead and leave it in there. But this is what this is this is a filter that just kind of prevents stuff from getting up into your regulator. And then from here, what you do is unscrew the bottom part. Okay, and then you're going to see the adjustment screw that comes in through the bottom here. This is your reg seat. You just always want to make sure that's clean. So that's your reg seat that's down there at the bottom. You can pop that out if you want to. What you do is back that screw out and pop it out through the top. For the purposes of this video, I'm just showing you guys how to get into the internals of the gun. Now what I'm going to do is using the bottom of a pencil eraser, I'm just going to push out the piston. There we go. And this is the piston. So you got a couple O-rings in here that you're going to want to lubricate. But this is, very, very quick and easy gun to take apart. What kind of lubricant you use whatever your favorite lubricant is. I always say it's always better to use a thin amount of lube and lubricate often than to put a ton of it on there and then never have to worry about it. At least you know that the internals of your gun are always clean. So let's just go ahead and push this back up into the gun. There we go. So that's the whole piston assembly, goes right back up into the gun. Take the bottom half here. And we are going to weigh the gun today. I promise you that. Just if I forget to do that, people will make me do the video all over again. And let's go ahead and take our swivel collar that's at the bottom. Slide it into place. Take the bottom cap. Okay. Now, if you really wanted to torque these halves down, you know, you could put an Allen key here through the top, take an adjustment wrench and put it on, you know, and really torque it down. I don't recommend you really don't have to do that. You know, as long as you're not really messing with it and you're checking it frequently, you don't have to, you know, torque this down with like a, you know, like a crescent wrench or something like that. It's just not needed. So let's go ahead and put the gun back together again. We're going to screw in the high pressure regulator first. There we go. Now let's take the ram assembly. And you're going to notice on the ram assembly there's a pin that sticks out of the bottom. That pin lines up with the pin at the bottom of the gun there. So let's go ahead and take the ram assembly, slide it into the gun. They did a really good job with this because you don't have, there's no real like air transfer grooves or anything like that that can catch and rip O-rings. You can just basically slide the whole thing right in. Now you don't want to mess with this screw here in the back. What this screw in the back here is for this knob. If you unscrew this, the knob pops off. So you just want to make sure that that screw in the back is snug. You don't unscrew the ramp with the screw. You do it with the with this knob here. Now let's go ahead and reinstall the bolt. There we go. There we go. We put the barrel back on here. Let me slide the Allen keys out of the way. Now what we're going to do is we're going to weigh the gun. Okay, our scale zeroes out, and this is the internet, and conspiracy people are everywhere. So let's go ahead and turn the gun on. As you can see, this one I just had it flashed at Mid-Atlantic Open, and I've got the new Yakuza software in here. Shouldn't affect the weight any, but we'll see. So it's zeroed out. Let's go ahead and put the gun on here. Press hold. Here we go. So the gun weighs in at 2 pounds, 1.8 ounce. Yeah, 2 pounds, 1.8 ounce for the MacDev Cyborg RX. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the gun out to the field and do an efficiency test, and we'll be right back with the conclusion. Hey, it's Mike with TechPB, and I'm here with Chris. What's up, Chris? How you doing, man? And Tracy, and we're going to test out the brand new MacDev Cyborg RX. Now what we're going to do here is I'm going to bring the camera over here. I'm going to show you the tank temperature. I'm going to show you the gauge, which is reading right about 3,700, 3,800 PSI. We're going to shoot a couple over the chronograph, and then I'm going to hand it over to Chris and Tracy, and they're going to finish up testing the gun. So let's go ahead and grab the camera off the tripod. And the first thing we're going to do is let's go ahead and take a look at the tank temperature. Oops. So it looks like it's sitting right at about, I think I got a battery, it's on about 120 degrees. Let's take a look at the tank PSI. Looks like it's sitting at about 37 to 3,800 is about what I'm seeing here on the gauge. So now what I'm going to do is go ahead and set the camera up right here. We'll turn on the chronograph. We're going to load up our first pod. And we'll set the pods right over here. So let's go ahead and shoot it and see where we're at. Oops. 304, 305, 304. Let's go ahead and turn this down just a little bit. So I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. Oops. Let's go ahead and turn on the loader. So it looks like we're sitting right around about 285. So Chris, if you could just hold that really quick, I'm going to go set the camera up. Okay, looks like the camera's all set up. Okay, and now what you'll just want to do is go ahead and put this up on your right shoulder like that. Put this hand right in front. There you go. And then you got your hand right there. There you go. And then just start aiming for that right there. Yep, and just keep pulling with your trigger like that with your fingers. It's going to ramp. There you go. And then as he runs out of paint, then you load. So try to keep a long. There you go. Yeah, keep with a long stream. Just keep shooting it. There you go. Keep putting paint in there. You can just put the pod over there on the side. Thank you. Yep, keep shooting as fast as you can. Shoot as fast as you can. So people can see them. Is that all we get? Yep, I think that's all we're going to get. So let's go ahead and count them. So it looks like we have probably about a half a pod still in there. So we'll set that over here. And let's start, how many do we have here? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And about 8. So we got 8.5 pods from the MacDev Cyborg RX. We're sitting at about 120 PSI, 120 degrees on the tank. About 3,800 PSI on the tank, and we were shooting right at about 291, 292 feet per second. Hey guys, here's a free pod and free paint for you guys helping me out.
Thanks, man.
Sweet. Hey man, nice meeting you guys.
You too.
All right, take it easy. So there you have it. There's the efficiency test. Now keep in mind too, something's going on from last year until this year. Okay, the paintballs have gotten a lot smaller in the past 6 months. I don't know why. Everything used to bore at 690. Now it's all boring at like 670. It's like shooting airsoft BBs through the paintball guns, but it's why you've seen a lot of the efficiency go down. But anyway, you know, those are real paintballs, XO paintballs, and it is what it is. I don't have to justify it. I mean, anybody that goes out there and shoots that kind of paint through their gun is going to get the same efficiency we do. So, not a big deal. Let's talk about something else that's really cool about the gun. The gun does come stock with laser eyes, but when you look down into the breech, the inside of the breech, you will notice that there are two sets of holes here. There's almost like what's on the vise. You could have an upper eye and a lower eye. Now, I haven't confirmed this with MacDev. I talked a little bit at Will from Tadal about it, about is there a possible 4-eye release for this in the future. Didn't hear one way or the other with it, but there is a possibility of 4 eyes being able to put in this gun. The holes are already milled for it. I'm sure there's going to have to be a whole new software and an eye upgrade and yada yada yada, but it does have the potential for 4 eyes. When you look down into the breech on this, you will see that. That's about it for the MacDev Cyborg. Like I said, personally, I think that the gun shoots amazing. I think the ergonomics on it are great. I'm not a fan of this trigger at all. I think they really dropped the ball on the trigger on this thing. I think that's an easy fix. I think they should just stop selling them with this. Call Walter at ProStar. Put the ProStar triggers in here, the violent triggers in here. That's going to take care of that problem. Also, I was hoping that maybe this gun would either come with the Yakuza programming stock or maybe even a barrel kit. One of those two. I think the gun would be perfectly priced at $1,250. But without that, I think the gun is slightly overpriced. Now, it's not to say that it's a bad gun. When you hold it in your hands and you're out there playing with it, the gun feels great. The ergonomics of it are great. But I just think that at that price range, the expectations have been raised. And I think that if they gave us 2 out of the 3, maybe a better trigger barrel kit, or the Yakuza programming. Pick 2 out of the 3. I think the gun's perfectly priced where it's at. So that's it for the Cyborg RX. I think it's a great effort by MacDev. I think they did a great job on this gun. So you know, we've got a MacDev section in the TechPB forum. So if you have any questions, post them up on there. I've had a great time shooting this gun. Thank you very much for tuning in.